The Story of a Marriage by Andrew Sean Greer is a 2008 novel by the Pulitzer-winning author. He won for Less, which is the other work of his that I have read. Both works distinguished by their very kind of beautiful, kind of smooth, seductive writing style. Both works have sort of have a somewhat kind of tricksy element to them, or aren't quite doing what they appear to be doing at the start. The Story of Marriage is kind of a hard book to talk about. Set in 1950s San Francisco, very much post-World War II novel, where it's a story of a marriage told by Pearlie, who kind of in the opener says, I didn't actually know anything about my husband. He was like, it was an alien standing in the kitchen, I believe is how it's kind of stated at front. And it's all about a novel about how much maybe she gets wrong, but it's also a novel about how much the reader gets wrong, or is led to believe things are a certain way, and that goes in ways of sexuality, in ways of race, in ways of just gender in general, and it's definitely one of these books where we hear everything through Pearlie's point of view, and Pearlie has her own agenda, how she wants to see things. There's a note later in the book where her son has been accused of something as an adult. Doesn't really have anything to do with the novel, and she dismisses it out of hand. But he very much says something later on that you go, oh no, that actually did happen, and she wants to see things a certain way. And there definitely is that in this novel, and it's one of these books you get to the end, you go, oh, you should read that again and see exactly how many different ways this situation could be read. Pearlie and her husband Hammond are living in San Francisco post-war, and a friend of Hammond's from the war, Buzz, shows up, and he shows up with some fairly significant, I guess, revelation, and a kind of a very, very big ask that she goes along with, and I think it's a kind of a mark of exactly how strong of a writer Andrew Sean Greer is, that I think I kind of just accepted that for a lot of the thing without kind of thinking about more. It's like, why is she kind of going along with this? Why is she kind of eager to? It is so beautifully written. It continually has what I would call like kind of rug pulls, some of which I kind of spotted early on, one of which was because I was listening to it on audio, and the audio book narrator, I could tell by her voice where probably she is situated in the American tapestry. And it was like, oh, why are they using this voice? And then, but I think, to be fair, the text itself does kind of give hints of, oh, this about Pearlie. I mean, it's one of these really difficult books to actually to talk about without spoiling because of that. It's I think, as with the Less, it's one of these books that is sticking with me because I'm sort of struggling. Was Andrew Sean Greer fair to the reader? Was Andrew Sean Greer fair to Pearlie? There's definitely he definitely makes bold statements about imagination, and what at least bold in our current climate, about what an author is allowed to imagine, what divides they're allowed to jump over in their discussions, in their depictions, in their dramatizations, and how they can imagine stuff. There's very much a point where Pearlie talks about how, it's within this moment of pain that you're able to make that kind of imaginative leap over and kind of get some kind of a glimpse of another person's life, which is sort of like, that's what drama, that's what good writing, good drama in general is about. Is like, oh, I suddenly I'm transported into somebody else's life, and maybe I've got some idea of them. And this book does that, or at least the book makes a strong claim that that's what should be the function of art. But yeah, it's still a book that I'm working on trying to suss out. It's definitely of a piece with less. I'm reading. I'm kind of going back and reading Andrew Sean Greer at the moment, and going to reread less because he's coming out with a sequel, which is kind of a rare thing in literature books. He did Less, this kind of hapless gay writer who sort of has been neglected. Gay is no longer the hot thing, especially a white gay male. It's no longer the hot thing, so he's not getting the love, and he was kind of his travails there. And that was a book that kind of, it's like, it's like I struggled. It's like, my initial reading was it was kind of being self-pitying about that, but as I went along, it's like, no, it's being very wry about it, but it's also talking about how we as a culture recognize things, and how we rotate in what we're going to culturally pay attention to at any moment of time, which, to the frustration of people who really want to focus solely on the writing, and it's not the kind of the outer context or the cultural context, can be quite frustrating to them. And it's also about how much you if you're a reader, how much you care about prizes and stuff like that. I'm sure for an author, especially a literary author, that can be a make or break. If you don't get recognized, you stop writing, because you just don't have the juice anymore. But that book had some more complex things to say about it, which then ironically won the Pulitzer Prize. This book about a guy who wasn't winning any of the prizes, it did. But yeah, he's come out with a sequel to it, Less is Lost, which reminds me of what the hell was the Updike series? I can't remember what Updike did the Run Rabbit Run series, but he also did he had another series that also did. Now it's sort of like, is there a kinship there? Someone else who was a beautiful prose stylist, and has his star has fallen over the years, though that might be for reasons less than just simple politics. Is there's not the personality of the great American writer. All right, that is me babbling on about The Story of a Marriage, which I can't really babble on about that much without completely ruining it. So I'll leave it there. It's definitely worth picking up. It's definitely worth picking up, though. Yeah. All right. I've been Jay. More videos later.